Hello, everyone. This will be the first of the macroeconomic objectives videos. So, the first macroeconomic objective that the government has is to keep unemployment at a low level. So, this will be the first sort of mini series about the macroeconomic objective of low unemployment. In this video, I'm going to answer these questions, or these will be the learning outcomes of the video. What is unemployment? How is unemployment calculated or measured? And what are some difficulties in measuring or calculating unemployment? Let's begin. So, what is unemployment, or how does the government identify the unemployed? Unemployment basically is being the state of being willing and able to work. So, you have to be both willing and able to work. You have to be actively seeking work. So, you're actually looking for work, because someone might be willing and able to work, but they're not looking for work. They wouldn't be considered unemployed. And you have to be unable to find work. So someone that wants to work, is able to work, is looking for a job, but is unable to find work. However, they must also be of working age. Now, this changes, or it differs from one country to another, but generally it's between 15 and 65. So 15 is when you enter the workforce, 65 is when you retire. So unemployment consists of people who are willing and able to work. The unemployed consists of people who are willing and able to work, who are actively seeking work and unable to find work, and they are of working age, between the ages of 15 and 65. This is how the government defines an unemployed person, and this is what is considered unemployment. So, how is unemployment measured, or how is it calculated? Well, basically, the government uses something called the unemployment rate, which is a percentage. Remember that, because a lot of students often forget the unit used, or how is it measured. So basically, the government will calculate the number of unemployed people and divide it by the size of the labor force, and then multiply that by 100. So this is the equation that we use to calculate the unemployment rate. Now, some people ask, well, what is the labor force? Okay, so essentially the denominator is the labor force. The labor force consists of people who are employed plus people who are self-employed, they are their own bosses, plus the people who are unemployed. So essentially, it's the number of people that are unemployed divided by the total number of people employed plus the total number of people self-employed plus the total number of people unemployed. All of that is the denominator multiplied by 100. That should give you a percentage, and that is the unemployment rate. So my students find this diagram quite useful in helping them measure and calculate unemployment. So you start off with the total population. So that's everyone in the population. Okay. You pick the people that are of working age. That gives you the population of working age. That's between the ages of 15, as I said earlier, and 65. That's your population of working age. Now, not everyone of working age is necessarily part of the labor force. So what makes up the labor force? Well, the labor force consists, as I said earlier, of those who are employed. Okay, so they have jobs from businesses that employ them. Those who are self-employed, they are their own bosses, and those that are unemployed. And that's why the unemployment rate is the number of people that are unemployed divided by the total size of just the labor force, just this red oval in the middle here, multiplied by 100. Now, obviously, measuring the unemployment rate, especially in a country that has a very big population, like, say, China or the United States, there are obviously some difficulties in measuring unemployment. It's not a very easy thing to measure. The first difficulty is the existence of hidden unemployment. There is unemployment that is hidden. For example, discouraged workers, those who have given up on searching for a job. According to the definition of unemployment, they wouldn't be considered unemployed, but some people might argue that they should be considered unemployed. What about part-time staff that are wanting to work full-time but can't find a full-time job? Aren't they underemployed? What about people that are working jobs for which they are overqualified because they can't find a job for which they are qualified? So the first problem in measuring, or difficulty in measuring unemployment, is the existence of hidden unemployment. The second problem is the existence of underemployment. Some people are underemployed. Maybe someone has a master's degree and they want to work as a full-time teacher, but they can only find a part-time teaching job. Okay, so they are underemployed. According to the definition of unemployment, they would actually be considered employed, not unemployed. But the unemployment rate doesn't account for people who are underemployed. A third problem or difficulty in measuring unemployment is that it is an average. Averages aren't always the most representative of the true variable that they're measuring. It ignores, for example, regional disparities or differences. Some areas in a country might suffer from higher unemployment than other areas. For example, during the global financial crisis, a lot of cities that had car manufacturing industries suffered much higher unemployment because a lot of workers lost their jobs. So it ignores regional disparities. It ignores ethnic disparities. Sometimes unemployment is worse or is higher among certain ethnic groups, usually minority ethnic groups, than others. It ignores age disparities and gender disparities. It doesn't reflect whether the unemployment is worse for males or females. So because it's an average, it ignores all these differences like different regional differences, ethnic differences, age and gender differences. It doesn't highlight is it mostly the youth that are unemployed, or is it middle-aged workers, or is it older workers? Because it's an average, it ignores all these differences. So keep that in mind. There are difficulties in measuring unemployment. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you very much for your attention.